Hey, it's Karina Reichman, and you are listening to Comes a Time with Oteil Burbridge and Mike Fenoya. If you're digging the podcast, do these guys a favor and review and subscribe. It means a lot. Be sure to follow the pod on social media, YouTube, and if you're joining for bonus episodes and exclusive content, go to patreon.com/comesatimepod and get on the bus. And now, here's Mike and Oteil.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Comes a Time podcast. My friend Oteil Burbridge.
And that is my buddy Mike Fenoya.
Hi,
Got
pal.
a good one today. How you doing?
Good, man. How are you? Cheers in my Comes a Time mug.
Cheers in my Comes a Time mug, which is...
Oh, it's smoking delicious. Yeah, we had a fun one. What a cool cat. Rob Bleetstein, who you may hear on Sirius XM Satellite Radio's Grateful Dead channel or Sirius XM Satellite Radio's Pearl Jam channel. He is the curator for the New Riders of the Purple Sage. He just released an album of their Lyceum 72 opening set from the Dead Europe 72 tour. Archivist, music lover, all around cool cat, and a badass DJ to boot. He put together a really cool Dead New Year's thing that he sent to me, and so tight. I'll have to send it to both of you. It's just insanely good. Yes, but we had a good chat with him today. We
sure did. Boy, has he got some good memories. Thank God he still has them.
I know. I think we got to him when we. We're glad we got to him when we did.
Well, I think he left portions of his brain back in those hallowed halls. Yeah, admittedly, a long time ago.
Easy said, nothing comes for free, you know. So
that's right.
But you have those good times. You gotta pay the price.
He clearly left the ones that just cause you pain, misery, and conflict. So he didn't need them. But
you know what, though, man? I love his origin story of just kind of following your bliss, you know, and music and radio. And I appreciate that. We both grew up in the same part of the country where like rock radio was like, it was a big, it defined you, what station you listened to and shit like that. So it was really cool to have that kind of connection. I totally understood where he was coming from with a lot of that stuff in his early days, you know?
It's so great to see that kind of attitude too, because I realized after being in the Dead family for a while, that just how quintessentially American it is. It's like, you know what? We're going to go out and pursue life, liberty, and happiness. And when I was growing up, I didn't see a way. I mean, it was always like funneled. You've got to go to college, and then you've got to study this, and you got to become this, and then you got to do that. And I was just like, God, it sounds like a prison. It wasn't ever presented to me like, hey, man, there's this huge frontier out here, and just go and like be what you want to be, create your own reality, you know. So it's so cool to hear these stories like that. And it reminds me, I'm going to make sure my kids know, hey, man, you ain't got to do shit that they're trying to get you to do. Like, go out and you be you. Like, just because I was not told that. I had to
Me neither.
Rebel hard.
That's it.
Thank God I have it in me, you know.
Well, man, I'll tell you the truth. I remember looking at like some of the books, the Grateful Dead books that I would take out from my library. There was a couple, the Grateful Dead Family Album was a book somehow my town library had, and it was just a Deadhead compendium. Like it was like just a collection of old photos, and just to look at pictures of Watkins Glen and see the Dead, the band, the Allman Brothers, and hundreds of thousands of people.
600,000.
And then a band like Fish comes along in my life, and they put on a festival, and I get to go at 15 or whatever and be like, okay, this is our 80,000 people. Like this, how cool that this exists. So it's cool. We all kind of find that when we do, but it's neat to hear Rob's story and that I don't even want to ruin it, but he pretty much was like, I'm here. I know you guys been waiting for me. I'm here. So it's
and at the sweet spot, man, in the 70s. He was there for the freaking sweet spot, dude.
He sure was, dude. He sure was.
All of it's sweet. I love it. I love Jerry old and I love him young, but you know,
Yeah.
That 70s, man. That's where it
Can't
was
beat
like,
that.
that's where I go to, and it's also the sound, the actual timbre of recordings and stuff back then. I remember that, being born in '64. So
Yeah.
you know, like the '70s was that period that I just remember, that sound and the smell and the taste of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just.
Well, this was fun. Walk down memory lane with Rob. Thank you, Rob, for joining, and thanks to everybody for joining us for another episode. You could go to our YouTube channel and watch all of our episodes. And if you want more, you can go to patreon.com/comes a time pod for a bonus episode each week. And like and share and subscribe, and all those things go a long way for us, and we appreciate it. And we appreciate you. And I appreciate you, Oteil, my friend.
Appreciate you too, Bubba. Glad we're here at the same time.
Amen to that. Peace out, all of you. Thanks.
Have you seen all the Super Bowl memes already with Bobby and Taylor Swift?
Oh no.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know she's winning the Super Bowl. There's no question.
She's totally winning the Super Bowl.
She's totally winning.
There should be something about how Ticketmaster like fucked both of those artists' fans over so long for so many times. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So Oteil, just to give you a little bit of background on this, Taylor Swift is dating one of the Kansas City Chiefs players. So she's at every game, at every game, in the press box with, like, you know, the family and whatever. Anytime anything happens regarding that player, Travis Kelce, they show her. Like, she's what the NFL numbers have skyrocketed now since, like,
all these young girls are watching the NFL.
Dude, they're calling the Chiefs Taylor Swift's boyfriend's team. Like, that's literally, like, it's no longer the Kansas City Chiefs. It's like Taylor Swift's boyfriend's team. And then Bob Weir was at the Niners game yesterday. So they are saying, so it's Chiefs Niners is the Super Bowl. So they're saying Bobby better get as much camera time as Taylor Swift. It's almost like the Grateful Dead versus Taylor Swift.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But, sales are going to plummet as every time the Lorax is shown.
Watch Dead & Co. version 2.0 is going to be Taylor Swift and you guys. no more mayor.
Before this gets on the show,
with some other bass player, and you can put that on the show.
Before this even gets on the show, Oteil, you haven't been to the Sphere, have you? For you two?
No.
Okay, you're just gonna.
I can't. Can we talk about the Sphere? No, we can't.
Well, no, we'll talk about it now. It's like you're just gonna freak.
Because by the time this airs, it'll be announced, won't it?
Oh, I heard it was gonna be announced this week.
I heard it was going to be announced last week. I'm pretty. Eric, how long do we have before this airs? I'm pretty sure we can talk about it.
Okay. This will probably air in like 3 weeks or so, Eric.
Now you cut it out, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we got to be able to.
You
know what?
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Rob, you've been there, yeah?
Yeah, I went to U2 there.
I could totally. I'll lead in with, like, you know, there's rumors of it, but it's like, I'm dying to go. Have you been there? And then we can just talk about how cool of an experience. We don't have to give any. You know,
I'm telling you, we could talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah. We just
pretty sure.
Dates. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't
know them.
Well, I kind of do know the dates, but that part I will leave out in case they.
Everyone's saying it's like end of May through June, Thursday, Friday, Saturdays.
Exactly. And if it sells, the second 2 weeks of July also.
Wait, did you say if it sells?
If they sell, yeah.
Oh God, that's gonna.
I'm saying I don't know. You know, I think they will sell through the end of June, but if they go like that, they're going to go like, 2 weeks into July for sure.
They're going to go immediately.
It's ticket. It's to 2024. It's tickets. They don't even exist. They're gone.
My buddy just
they're $9,000 on fucking premium bullshit. You know?
Yeah, fish tickets are like, people are remortgaging their house to get in for that. I mean,
oh man, it's like the odds of like how many people are gonna fucking fall out and kill themselves at that thing. That place is it's really steep, man. It's like I'm on the floor.
That's what I heard.
I'm at the floor.
Let's get into it.
I'm at the floor. I'm at the floor. You two just looking up, going, "You fuckers better not fall on us, man."
Wow, so it's the band that's up high.
No,
Yeah,
No.
no. I
no.
was like,
The have you
oh,
been to any?
you're on the
I,
floor
I was on the
watching the
floor, yeah,
band,
watching the
and
band
the
and like
people
looking
of the
behind me. Yeah,
audience
and
behind.
yeah. And I
Mm.
don't know if you've been, you probably haven't, if you've ever been to any of these
Uh,
new arenas that they build that are like you go up to the upper deck. Like I went to that upper deck in Brooklyn a long time ago, and it was like you take one wrong lean, and you're in trouble, man.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And it's reminiscent of a lot of the how like the Joe Louis, remember how steep that was? Like there's some of these old arenas too, like the Veterans Memorial Coliseums here and there. Like New Haven was even like it was like a steep climb, just one section of just
Dude,
terrifying as a little kid, man.
I thought I was gonna die there at 5'10", 78.
Yeah, at New Haven
I
Coliseum.
had a really bad first trip for really bad acid trip in the first set. And I did what they tell you don't ever do. I went into the bathroom and looked in the mirror.
Why do they say don't do that? Because your
I
face
don't
Oh,
might
know, but
turn
they were
into
right.
something else.
don't look in the
Yeah,
mirror. Yeah,
don't
don't
look.
look at yourself. Don't look at yourself. That's a bad thing to
Oh
do.
shit.
Oh, that sounds like the
Why?
perfect place to start.
Wait a minute. Why? I don't know. I still don't understand why.
Rob, we do our intros after, so let's dive right
Okay,
in.
okay.
Yeah. Okay. 5'10",
Oh
78,
shit.
New Haven Coliseum. You think you're going to die?
Yeah.
Action.
You know, it was one of those four-way gray blotters that, you're in high school, it's your diet. It's just one of those nights, man. And all my friends are like going, oh man, I don't think he's doing too good. And like I could still listen, I could put on that Peggy O right now, and I'm right there going, oh, it's not good. But I've had
Ruined
to,
Peggy-O.
yeah, but I've had these two, but this is great. I've had these two events in my life where I had really bad first sets, and then the set break comes, the lights come on, and I just somehow regroup. And both times they open with Bertha Good Lovin' for the second set, and Life is Grand, and
Wow.
then they wind up being two amazing second sets.
Yeah. Once
But
you
you had
break
to,
through, once you break
yeah,
through and you know you're going to survive.
you
Yeah.
had to pay
And
the
it's
tab up front.
yeah, and it's so funny too how, at least back then and you're 15, 16 years old and well, not you're fearless kind of, and it's like you have that really bad episode, but it certainly doesn't stop you from doing it
No, no, definitely not. So did
again.
you grow up in the Northeast? Were you a
Yeah,
Connecticut kid?
I grew up in Roslyn, Long Island.
Oh, okay. Right on.
Patchogue.
I like to say it was a good place to grow up and an even better place to leave.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I'm also lucky. It was growing up there in the 70s, it was a really good time. We had great radio, great shows, great head shops.
Yep.
It was,
Yep. I grew up right on the other side of Long Island Sound in New Haven. So I
yeah,
I I feel like
yeah.
grown
Me and New Haven, man. Yeah,
You and
yeah,
Sally, some Pepe's.
Pepe's,
Pepe Toad's Place, I bet probably a bunch of times, right? For
and then
NRBQ and all that shit.
that other New Haven show where Jerry couldn't do the show once everybody's in, like November, it was November 78. Okay, I bring my Sony 158. I'm in, I'm patched in, I'm ready to record the show with some other people. And somehow this security guy has it in for me and just me. And he comes up to me and he tells me, I'm not recording. And he's taking my shit and then he's like escorting me out of the building with it. The guy literally takes me to my freaking car. I put the shit away. We come back in. And then the weird comes out and says, Jerry's sick and the show's not happening. Meanwhile, all my other friends are tripping their asses off. And they wound up at Hot Tuna till 4 in the morning at the Palladium. So I have weird shit
Damn.
with New Haven.
Yeah, I hear you. That's the first concert I ever went to was in that venue. It was Bon Jovi and Skid Row. And I think I was 7.
No wonder you're a comedian.
Yeah, yeah. All I remember is just Aquanet, like the smell of hairspray. Literally, Oteil, I remember standing on the seat looking
That's
at
from the
someone.
guys, right?
Yeah, totally. It was from the
In the
guys.
band.
Skid Row opened for Bon Jovi, and I hated it. I loved Bon Jovi so much. That was like my first love. I had a piece of yarn tied around a tennis racket, and I would jump up and down and pretend to be Richie Sambora. And my uncle brought me, and it was the most terrifying. I couldn't stand it. It was just smoke and scary people, and you're a little kid, you know. But then I saw my first Fish show there in '95, so it was all right from there. But so what? How did you? What? So when did you? 15? You started seeing the Dead. 14?
No, no, I saw my first Dead show a month before my 12th birthday at the Nassau Coliseum. Had friends with older brothers and sisters. I had an older brother, and my friends' older sisters basically got us into the Dead and the Almonds and the New Riders. And the New Riders of the Purple Sage basically is how I came into the whole thing, because at 10 years old, I heard Power Glide, their second album, and it was the first time I ever heard a pedal steel guitar. And I said, I don't know what the fuck that is, but I'm going wherever that takes me. And I became obsessed with that. And I wound up coming to California when I was 15 on a trip in the summer with one friend. I love this. I tell people that now, and they're like, "Your parents let you do that?" And I'm like, "It's a different world, man. It's like a different time." And
They didn't hand you a joint; they just took you to the
yeah, mom
concert.
didn't know we were fucking tripping outside of Winterland, but we were, But my mom was also a travel agent, so it's like she booked the whole thing. And anyway, I wound up. It was the first time I came here to San Rafael, and walked to the New Riders office and announced my arrival, and they kind of already knew who I was. They're like, "Oh, you're the Psycho fan that writes us every week." And, I wound up meeting Spencer Dryden 10 minutes after that, and he sort of took me under his wing and would get me into shows when they played bars and stuff before I'm even of age.
Wow.
And then went to the Dead office and met like Eileen and Marushka, not the same day, and so sort of been in there ever since. But it didn't really start seeing the Dead and knowing really what the fuck I was doing till 1977 when they started doing those Palladium shows.
The best tour ever.
That's a great time. Yeah,
I know.
It was that's just it.
77.
It was like late 70s in New York was
Yeah,
a really, especially being an East Coast Deadhead at that time. They just played every college around, and you could just go to so many shows. And
Yeah.
like that. They just had on their Instagram the other day about the Winter Tour '79. It's like I did every show from like Poly Pavilion, the closing of Winterland, and then like the entire Winter '79 tour up until Providence, and had nothing but a pocket full of ass. Not much else.
Great time to see them, you know?
It
I mean,
was, especially that Nassau Coliseum Dark Star. We couldn't believe that one.
the New Riders was it's interesting because I love growing up loving the Grateful Dead and studying everything about them. You started to learn about the other littles like Kingfish and,
Mm.
Bobby and the Midnights and Ace and all these things that were like outlier of the
Yeah.
Dead world, but the New Riders, like you, I heard Pedal Steel, and I heard, I think like, maybe I Don't Know You was the first song I heard from them, and then Panama
Cool
Red
song.
and all of this. And
Yeah.
it was like, holy shit. It was like, I was excited. It was like, I loved this comic book. And then I found out that the makers of this comic book made this comic book. And I'm like, oh, I
Yeah.
have another thing to get into that. I trust the artist, and knowing that Jerry was in there playing pedal steel and the whole nine, dude, like love the New Riders of the Purple Sage, like just love them.
Do you
They're so
have the
cool.
latest record I produced, the Lyceum 72? You need this.
I do not. I do not. I need
Oh,
one though, for
yeah,
sure.
there you go. Plugging it
Absolutely.
right now. So this is the opening set of the last night of Europe 72. And it's off the 16
Oh,
track master, and Jeffrey Norman
nice,
mixed it, and it's fucking incredible.
wow.
nice.
Yeah. So yeah, I've been their archivist for 30 some odd years, and I've put out 9 records from the vault and working on another one right now. And yeah, just keeping the flame, trying to keep the flame alive for those guys, because there's just generations who have no clue.
Well, the Flames doing pretty good. I
Yeah.
think you're doing a great job, man.
Thanks,
I
man.
love I love Olden in the Way. When I moved down
Yeah.
south, I got really into bluegrass, deep into it. And when I first heard Jerry play banjo, I was like, "Hey, man, I know real banjo. Like that's the real thing." Then I found out it's his first instrument. I was like, "Oh, okay, now I feel better," because you really have to commit to it to get all that, like all that new. There's so much nuance, And
Yeah.
God, man, when I've actually got to meet Vassar down at Magfest, shout out to Beth Judy, um, and saw Peter Rowan do his. It was like all dead but reggae. Oh,
Oh
it was
yeah.
fabulous, man. But I love that Olden in the Way stuff, man.
That's great stuff. Are you aware that so the Bluegrass Museum and Hall of Fame in Owensboro, Kentucky is having a Jerry Garcia bluegrass exhibit that
Nice.
opens on March 28th, and Leftover Salmon's going to be the house band. It's going
Oh
to be 3 days of
wow.
music. Peter Rowan will be there. David Nelson will
Oh,
be there. Eric Thompson's going to be there. Kyle Tuttle's going to be there. A lot of folks are coming, so it's going to be really
Get
good.
out of
And
here.
March
That's
yeah,
awesome.
28th, and
March
I have
28th,
that day
29,
and night
30.
off.
Come on up. Come on up. I'm going to be, I think, hosting a panel on Olden in a Way. Jerry's family's going to be there. They've acquired, borrowed, a ton of instruments, like a lot of Jerry's first banjos from his first wife, Sarah, and his daughter, Heather.
Wow.
I
Wow.
know that Mountain Girl and Sunshine gave a lot of stuff. They'll be there as
Oh
well.
man,
It's going to be really cool. It's
Wow.
going to be really cool.
that's so cool.
And it's called what now? It's the
The
Bluegrass
it's the
Museum?
Bluegrass Hall of Fame and Museum in Owensboro, Kentucky.
Bluegrass Hall of Fame. Oh man, that
Yeah.
makes me feel so good. He's gonna be in the Bluegrass Hall of Fame.
Well, yeah, it's a beautiful exhibit. They put a lot into it. They even like, the story, him and Sandy Rothman, who's a, old banjo player from out here.
Sure.
They took a trip in like 1961 back east to go see Bill Monroe, and they're in this Corvair, and they got the Wallensack reel to reel. I think they had, I
Wow.
think Sandy lent them the actual Wallensack reel to reel, and they
Wow.
went out and they found a Corvair and they like fixed it up, and I think that's going to be in the exhibit too.
Oh wow,
Wow.
that car
Yeah,
is going to be there.
not the actual car, but a
For
replica of
sure.
the car. Yeah.
Oh
It's
Man,
gonna be
man.
this
pretty.
is
It's gonna be
so
really cool,
great.
and there's gonna be Vince. So yeah, Vince Herman's had a lot to do with it from Leftover Salmon, and they're gonna be the backup
Excellent.
band. Sam Grisman's project's gonna be there. I interviewed David Grisman for the thing,
I mean,
and
I
it's
would
gonna be
think Sam Bush and some of those guys would be there for that, you know? I'm
yeah.
gonna have
Well,
to start
it's
talking to my bluegrass buddies, man,
there you
because
Oh,
go.
that's
dude, Oteil, that should be
Yeah,
we should
dude.
pilgrimage there, man, for
come
sure.
on.
We should,
Yeah.
dude. Comes a time live from the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
I would
do it.
love it.
Dude.
Yeah.
Um, that trip east, I remember thinking about that, like kind of like that was where the beginning of Jerry and David kind of got together, right?
I
Did you
think
meet him
that.
out there?
Yeah, I think that might have been a year later in like '62 at this place, Sunset Park in Pennsylvania.
Right.
I think that's where he might have met Del McCurry at the first time
Yeah,
too. I'm not
Dell,
sure. I
man.
think Del was probably in the Bluegrass Boys at that point in time.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah,
Wow,
so
the connections.
yeah, the connections are just great. I mean, and that's just it too. I was a huge bluegrass nut, basically kind of through the New Riders, because when
Right.
the Riders were really big in the East Coast. They'd play all the freaking time. So you go see them. You're in junior high school, and they'd always have this. Their pre-show music before they came on was just so. I'm hearing this stuff, and I didn't find out who it was for a couple of years later. But I'm finding out. I'm listening to the Osborne Brothers. I'm listening to Bob Wills and the Texas Playboys. I'm
Playboys,
listening to
yeah.
Jesse McReynolds and all Ralph Stanley and just all this stuff. And then I find out that David Nelson made the tape. So it's like
Ah,
it was all so good. And
Yeah.
Jim and Jesse.
yeah.
Jimmy Martin, the king
And
of
then
bluegrass.
yeah, and
I
then
love it.
being on the Deadheads mailing list, I remember um getting one of the newsletters, and it talked about Olden in the Way coming out, and you got the sampler. They would send out these 45 size, but they played at 33, I think, that of these little
Wow.
ones. Yeah, I still have them. Like one side would be Olden in the Way, the other side would be like Keith and Donna, because they had a record coming out. And then like the Garcia solo record had one on one side. And
Oh man, I gotta see these 45s that play at 33. That's
wait,
too cool. Yeah, go get it,
Yeah,
dude.
can I
go for it.
We
hold
can
on, hold on,
edit.
hold on, hold
Hell
on.
yeah. I want to see that shit, dude.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
Look at the sign. Sorry, we're stoned in the back.
Oh man.
45s that play as a 33.
I've seen 78s and stuff, but I've never seen one of those.
All right, here we go.
My dad
All
had
right,
78s and stuff.
here you go. Olden and Away,
Oh,
Round
man.
Records. There it is.
Round Records,
Sampler for Deadheads.
33 and a third RPM.
Wow.
That's so sick, dude.
And on the other side, you got Keith and Donna. Is that up the right way?
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
it is.
Yes. And then you got
Too cool.
a Robert Hunter one, Tales of the Great Rum Runners,
Drum Runners. Yeah.
Love it, man.
with Garcia on the other side.
Oh, that is so cool.
Man, these are
dude.
like, that's museum stuff right there.
It's an artifact.
And then
right
you
there.
got let's see, we got how about a little Sea Stones?
Oh,
I don't
No
even know
way.
what that is.
you don't know what
You
Phil
don't know
and
what
Ned
Sea Stones is?
No.
This is Phil Lesh and Ned Lagan doing just fucking
Predates
Oh,
Drums
doing
in
their
Space, dude.
psychotic
Doing
space
their
music
John
in
Cage.
1975.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Five
like the-
tour. Phil and Ned.
And
It's
then
the modern
side,
classical avant-garde stuff.
yeah, you got some Tiger Rose on the other side.
Wow. Sea Stones and Hunter. What? That's a.
Yeah.
Oh, damn. That's a sampler for dead.
So anyway, so getting this in the mail, that turns me on to Olden and the Way. And then this is wild. I don't know if WPLJ was a big pop rock radio station in New York City. Tony Pig was a DJ. He had started at KSAN in San Francisco. And somehow I'm in like 8th grade, I think. And he's doing an in-store at a clothing store in Manhasset, which is a town next to where I grew up. I'm like, I gotta go. I gotta meet, because I'm a music freak already. I knew I was figured I was gonna be in radio or something along those lines. So I go meet him, and he's got a stack of records that he's giving away as promo. And I'm like looking at a stack, and I see Olden and the Way. And I ask him, I go, hey, can I have that one? He goes, oh, a little Deadhead, huh? And I'm like, yeah, look me up. And he did.
That is so cool.
Love it, man.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's like a similar. There was a radio show on Sundays on 99 Rock WPLR in New Haven, and it was Psychedelic Sunday, and it was this like hour of psychedelic music that he played, but there was a 4-song dead set in there. And I remember we lived walking distance to the church that I used to have to go to on Sunday mornings. And I would, the minute we were like, go in peace to love and serve the Lord, I was like in a sprinter stance so I could run home in time to hit record and record that 4-song dead set, So I called the radio station and spoke to Mike Lapatino, and I said, where do I get tapes? How do I get hooked up with tapes? And he gave me this guy's phone number, and I gave the guy my address, and he just showed up in my driveway with like a box of dead tape.
This would be so sketchy nowadays.
Like, Michael, my dad screamed, who the hell are you? Who is this guy? There's someone that's like Dr. Wizard or whatever. It's like in my driveway with a box of tapes, and he's like, you're a kid, man. I'm just like, thanks for the tapes, mister. And I fucking like grabbed it. It was hilarious. It's like this. I must have been 12, I think. And here I am like getting hooked up with tapers and shit. Like it was just hilarious. But the radio was the way, man. That was
Everyone could have been arrested for that if that had
my God,
nowadays. You'd have been taken away by child services. You just gave me this guy's phone number and I gave him my address at 12.
Yeah. And my dad met him in the driveway, like furious. I'm like, oh shit.
Arrested for trafficking tapes.
Hey man, down here in Florida, that might not be too far off.
So how did the career in radio, like in broadcast and music, you went there, you followed your bliss west, right? Now you're knocking on the door of the office.
I knew I was moving here when I was 12. I was like, okay, the riders are there. I got to get the frick out of here. I started volunteering at a college radio station in high school, my senior year, at New York Tech. And it was through Bob Cranes, who wound up being a big DJ at BCN in Boston and also LIR in New York, and a good friend, and wound up at Sony Music later on and stuff like that. And then I also that's like pretending to go to college while you're traveling the world to see the Grateful Dead. And then so I'm out here, I'm 18, whatever, and just living in Santa Cruz. I moved when I moved out here, I moved up to Eureka, Arcata first to learn how to grow weed, and then got my grades, and I was like, I think I need to get out of here. But also I was commuting to those 15 nights of the dead at the Warfield. Those happened
Yeah.
right when I moved here, and
Wow.
had my 19th birthday at one of those, and that,
Wow.
nothing could be better than that. And seeing the dead acoustic was just so fucking great. I mean, and I'll never forget this too. I remember the first night we're outside and someone said they sound checked Bird song, and I'm thinking they're the Birds, the band.
The
I'm like,
Wow.
Birds
I'm like,
song.
oh, what
Yeah.
did they do? Well, I'm like, well, are they doing Rock and Roll Star? Are they doing 8 Miles High? What are they doing? And then in the show they do Bird song, and I'm like, oh, duh, you idiot! It's this that they were talking about.
You were high, weren't you?
Oh man. But
Wow.
yeah, so I'm like commuting to those shows, 5 hour drives and stuff. And finally, and then I got my grades. I'm like, I need to move to Santa Cruz. And oh yeah, so and then I didn't really start doing radio until I realized I had to go to a real college and really graduate, or my mom would like never rest in peace. And I wound up going to San Jose State and doing college radio there. And also at the time, even before the time, there was a great station called KFAT in Gilroy, California, which was a bunch of hippies that were legendary. And this station had a signal. The tower was up on top of Loma Prieta on the mountain on top of Santa Cruz. And their signal went from like Salinas to Mill Valley. And they played, you know, George Jones, just all the hardcore hippie country stuff, all the Willie stuff, all the Waylon stuff, but they'd also play the Stones and they'd play the Dead and they just knew how to do it. And it was basically a lifestyle. And like they had concerts every week called Fat Fries at the Keystone Palo Alto, and they would broadcast them every week. And it was just a total lifestyle thing. And it was, incredible logo and just great hippie radio at its freaking finest. So
And
that
you're
was like,
like, I'm home.
yeah. So even when I'm in New York, I'm like a senior in high school, and I had a friend in Santa Cruz sending me Amelia and K-Fat tapes in the mail at the same time.
A friend
So
indeed.
yeah, so I already knew that. So I'm living the K-Fat life. I'm doing college radio at San Jose State, and K-Fat actually right when I graduate college or the year before, KFAT went under. But within like 6 months of me graduating, the DJs at KFAT regrouped and found this station in Hollister, California called K-Hip. And I found out about it the day they went on the air. And I went down there
Nice.
and I knocked on the door and I said, I am fat and I ain't leaving until I have a gig.
Mm.
And they threw me on they threw me on overnights. And within like 2 months, I became the music director. Like I saw Dwight Yoakam open up for Los Lobos at the Catalyst in Santa Cruz in the beginning
Wow.
of '85, I think. And I
Wow.
could not believe he was not even on Warner Brothers yet. And I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And I walked up to him and his guitarist, Pete Anderson. I said, "You're the fucking shit, man. We
He's
got
the
this
real
radio
thing,
station
man.
down the road. You got to come down." And we started promoting shows with them and helping them, breaking the Bay Area and stuff. And so that sort of
No kidding.
yeah, so getting into that station and being the music director and then having all these connections in Nashville and stuff, that sort of got me tied in with, that's when I met Emmy. So also about K-Fat, every artist, like Emmylou Harris loved them.
Yeah.
Roseanne Cash, Rodney Crowell, all those people love K-Fat and would go there and would get on their hands and knees crawling through the records and playing them and hanging out all day. So and also at K Hip one year, Emmy Lou played the Catalyst, and the next morning she came
Oh
down to
man.
K Hip and wound up spinning records all day,
Oh
and
Jeez.
so I meet Emmy Lou that day and been friends with her ever since. So
man, is there a tape of that? Oh
yeah,
jeez, man.
yeah, I'll get that to you.
Dude, I would love to hear her DJing.
Ah, yeah,
Oh, that's great.
I love that. That's the thing that I love so much about the Dead and all this, like even Fish and everything. I just love the accessibility of the music that the people that influence me are influenced by. You know, like it's really like a good archaeological study to like get into the Grateful Dead and get into, you know, like,
Well, I mean, the Grateful Dead got me into Merle Haggard, got me into Buck Owens, you know.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you learn about Melvin and you learn about, you know, all the Howard Wales and all these folks that like, would I've heard of them if it wasn't for the Dead, you know,
Just
would I've
all
heard
of
of it if
it.
it wasn't for Jerry.
Yeah, and I want to hit up O'Teal about Colonel Bruce because I met him a few times through Leftover Salmon, and it was just
Yeah.
like wow, this guy is like he's like the mystical shaman like Willie, but he's got this sort of dark, crazy edge, and it's like
He is. It's funny because like with this whole with that Grateful Dead thing too, you like meet the actual people. Like I met Emmylou Harris through Sam Bush, who I met because he was, you know, in that kind of dead, you know, that whole world. And Colonel Bruce was tight with Pigpen and
really.
Steve Parrish back in the day, and really tight with he was tight with Dwayne Allman and Dickie Betts. Dwayne's the one that got him his record deal. So there's actually a poster in his documentary, basically Frightened, that shows Grateful Dead at the top and then Allman Brothers next, and then Hampton Grease Band at the bottom. I think it was 69 at the Sportatorium or something in Atlanta.
Oh,
And I was like, there's my entire adult life. You know, Colonel Bruce,
poster.
Allman Brothers. Yeah, like
there's a venue in
Grateful
Atlanta. There was a sportatorium in Atlanta too.
yeah, I think that's what it was called. I got to go back. I was trying to find it on my phone, and the only one I could find was Grateful Dead Hampton Grease Band. It's like a Mother's Day show. But I know I was not doing acid. I know I saw that poster, so I just can't find it in my phone right now, but I'll find it soon.
Wow, I mean, to me, just the thought of Colonel Bruce and Pigpen together in the same room is, I want to be there.
They're like twins.
Really?
Because
Yeah, I mean,
Colonel
that's
Bruce,
crazy.
he was really, in fact, I have a picture and I'll send it to Eric. The way my camera's set up, I don't know if you could see it, but Colonel Bruce was basically raised by this really old black woman who I think actually
I'm trying to look up that Sportatorium thing right now.
I mean, she was like, it looks like he's being held as a baby by
Wait,
a
hold that
slave.
up again now that you're bigger in the screen.
I'll send it to
Yeah,
Eric
send
and
that
he
on.
could put up. So his imprint, even though he's from this like military South Georgia family, that they started calling him the Colonel at 3 years old because they had some of the youngest military officers in history in his family. From what I heard, that's what he told me, which, you know, most of the wackiest stuff was true. But then he imprinted on this lady, Toosie. And so black music was his thing. And from what I understood, Pigpen's dad was a DJ that DJ'd a lot of black music. So
blues
I think
DJ.
so they got off on all the old blues and gospel and R&B and all the old black music that nobody in his family was listening to. You know, he was like beyond black sheep. He was like the black sheep that was also an extraterrestrial, you know.
Yeah.
And
That's a good word for him.
yeah, I called him an alien one time. He got mad at me and said he was an ET. I was like, all right. Sorry, I didn't know there was a difference, but clearly there is. But yeah, it was just that whole, and you know, at the time he was born, he just saw everything. I was like, you saw everybody in their prime. Jazz, rock, country, bluegrass, gospel, blues, all of it. All of it. I was like, what did I get? I got Ronald Reagan. I didn't get shit, you know? But I never forget asking him, I said, what's the hands down the best thing you've ever seen? And without a milliseconds hesitation, he goes, Little Richard in 1960, whatever, you know? And he said, man, and when you think about it, this dude was so obviously black, so obviously gay. And he got away with. He said he would just hypnotize a room. He would just have him in the palm of his hand, like.
Yeah.
The fact that him and Liberace got away with that stuff just shows you like
Yeah.
that true thing can just transcend everything. It could just transcend everything. But yeah, he used to tell me these stories about, you know, him and Pigpen. And Parrish came on our podcast and he starts reminiscing about the Colonel. And I'm thinking it's like more in this later time.
Wow.
And then I realized he's talking about like 69. Wow. And I said, you're talking about the old. He goes, oh yeah, I remember. Like, he had clear memories as a Colonel. It's not something you quickly forget, you know.
Rob, you know what I always wondered? If I could
that?
ask Colonel one question, or even like you know, like a Parrish, is if Colonel Bruce and Captain Beefheart ever crossed paths
I
or
think they
played
did.
together or something, because those two are cut from the same cloth, I feel. Like,
That world was really small because, you know, he recorded with Zappa. And he told me the story, like Zappa was playing some club and they went down for sound check or something. And they started talking and the Colonel mentioned Krzysztof Penderecki, who's a classical composer. And he was just blown away that he knew who that was. Zappa was blown away. He knew who it was. Bruce was blown away that I knew who he was but my dad, nothing gets past my dad.
right.
And so he ended up recording with Zappa. But yeah, like I think he knew at some point he crossed paths with all those guys. Beefheart, Tom Waits, like, you know, all the freaks.
Yeah.
It's a small world, you know.
That's a tight frequency that I'm sure like they had to have been drawn to each other at some point, you know? I mean, man, you listen to old Beefheart and you listen to Hampton Grease Band and stuff. It's like,
still, I think his double album on Columbia, Music to Eat, by the Hampton Grease Band, I think is by far the greatest piece of art he ever made.
I gotta find it. I gotta go dig that out.
It's
Music to Eat.
Music to Eat, man. Listen to it. Listen to Six. I mean, just listen. It's so orchestrated. There's many elements of like classical. Their take on jazz, you know, rock. It seems like an acid rock album, but it's very. There's a lot of structure, a lot of odd times. It's like Fish, but in, you know, 1969 and from Mars or far beyond Mars, from like other star systems.
yeah.
The head of the Grammys was the drummer in that band, Mike Green. Like there would always be some weird shit with Bruce. He's like, the head of the Grammys was a drummer. I was like, that's such bullshit. He lies all that, you know. And then you find out, oh, actually, you see Mike Green. I was like, yeah, this is that guy, you know. He just would know everybody. And so you would meet all these people that you wouldn't think, like all the rock people, I had no idea who they were. I probably met them and it just went right over my head. But like the jazz cats, he was like, yeah, Crumbles is a friend of mine. John Abercrombie,
Sun Ra.
Treelot Gertu, like he introduced me to Sun Ra. But like like jazz cats that I wouldn't think would give him the time of day. Like he would know him. And I would just be like, and I'd meet him. Ralph Towner. I was like, you don't know Ralph Towner. Get out of here. Like, it's a genius, classical, you know, trained by this Viennese master, played on Weather Report's first record. All that's like mixes classical and jazz. Nobody even knows who he is. I was like, you don't know. And now all of a sudden we're in his show for free. All the Aquarium Rescue in tears as he plays solo. And he goes, hey, I want to come see you guys play. We're like, please, no. we're up there going cheese frog, spot tongue, you know. He loves it, and I'm like, who needs acid? This did not need it with that guy, man. It was insane. He was too much.
And then Jeff Sipe was in the band for quite a while too, right? On drums.
Oh yeah, the first when it actually became Aquarium Rescue Unit. Jeff Sipe, Jimmy Herring, Matt Mundy.
One of my favorite drummers of all time, and what a great human. Miss him.
Oh, he's the best, man. He was the one that turned us on to all the classical Indian stuff. I'd heard it with my dad, but he really was very deeply into it. And then, of course, Colonel's like, I'll introduce you to Treelot Gertu. I'm like, no, you won't. What are you talking about? Yep, he did it. I was like, oh, shit. He just knew everybody, man. It was But yeah, Sipe is. When did I just see Sipe? Oh man, I've seen him a couple times recently. My brain is blanking out, but I wanted to see if I could get him and Jimmy and Matt Mundy together again.
You should.
For one trip around. I didn't think Matt was going to play anymore, especially not electric, but then he went and sat in with Widespread Panic. And I was like, well, they're really loud. They're louder than ARU was.
They are loud.
Jimmy was not that loud when he got louder after he got away from us. But wouldn't that be something, man? Like, I can't even imagine.
Why not?
You never know. Hopefully the universe will pull it all together.
There you go.
So, Rob, coming back from Dead Ahead.
Wow.
But yeah, I want to hear your thoughts on it.
Oh my God. I had the best time, and I just was I just think that's the future, man. The rotating cast of great people who love it and get it is just so the way to go. I was like so thrilled. It was, it just had all these different elements and just the thoughts of whoever could come through and in the future. It was so freaking good.
One day there's going to be a festival and it'll just go for like 8 days and it'll just rotate. People will just cycle in and out,
Sign me up.
It'd be like, oh, Teal's back on day 3. Cool,
Oh my God. Yeah. And then it was great. It was great with you and Don rotating. And then there's like, I think it was you. I'm like, all right, they're both out there. Now we're talking.
Get some rumble going. Rumble in the jungle.
Yeah. I don't even want to call it last waltz-ish because it's definitely not last, but it was waltz-ish in the sense of, I mean, people coming on, people coming off, people, like
we could call it the next waltz. It'll just be the
waltz.
next waltz.
Yes, exactly.
In perpetuity.
But I just really, really enjoyed it, and it just had so much promise, and even and I just thought, it's a start, and I was like, well, they sort of didn't utilize this person's vocals enough or whatever, but it's like, hey, this is just the beginning, who knows what can happen down the road, so
for sure.
But I really love the concept of it. I think the name, the Deadhead name is great. Anything could slide in and out of that, and I could envision 10 dates and sheds or whatever here and there with this group of people, and then the West Coast with this group of people. Who knows,
Yeah, all your openers are built in too, because whoever's like sitting in, their bands can open.
Yeah,
it was great seeing Sierra Hall, man.
Oh.
I was in the dressing room, and I just heard, when I hear bluegrass, it's just not as often since I don't live in Georgia and Tennessee and Alabama anymore, and I heard that mandolin. And of course, I have vertigo because it just brings me back to Matt Mundy. And I think I might have been trapped in the bathroom then or something. I don't know. But I came out and I saw it was her and her band. And I was like, oh, it's true. It wasn't just like a stereo system or something, it was the real thing. And she was laughing.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah. Great to see. I got to speak with her for a little bit. And, I love it too, because, as someone who was embraced the Jerry ballads and done them such great justice and sing them so beautifully, for her to do that Black Muddy River. And then at the end, I don't know if you caught it, but she had the crowd singing the chorus with her. And she told me she'd never done that before. It was just a total spontaneous thing. And it really worked too. It was just beautiful.
Man,
that's the magic of Mexico, man. It was on down there.
That place had some serious magic dust spread around it. And even I ran into, I don't know Sturgill Simpson, but I ran into him backstage and he was just like, I am having so much fun with you people.
Yeah.
And I was like, please don't stop, dude. Like, we love it, dude. You're
and it's all pretty new to him too. So he's,
he's like, I got my plate's full, man. Don't put any more on it. It's thick,
that's what I'm saying. In time,
It's thick. It's beautiful,
out.
Man. I gotta shout out Rick from Goose too, man. Like that dude, his guitar, man. That dude is, because his voice was the first thing that captured me when he I I think he was doing Broke Down with Bob. And
Yeah.
when he did his verse, all of a sudden the portal just opened. I was like, oh, I get it. All right.
Yep.
But man, his guitar playing really knocked me out.
Yeah,
on
he
in
drove that
Mexico.
last night. He
God,
drove that
absolutely,
last night.
he did. 100%. And to think about the youthfulness of, because it hit me during the event that Bob, Mickey, and Melvin were the only three art musicians that actually played with Jerry at that event, right? I think.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think you mentioned that in that
when we
wrap
were
up you
talking,
did.
yeah, and just it's interesting to see like all the way down to like I don't know how old those guys are in Goose, pretty young, maybe 30.
Oh yeah,
And it's just
yeah.
amazing to see like the I don't know.
Yeah.
It's amazing for our thing
And
to
I gotta
see
give
this like youthful fire.
Oh, and it
ripping
goes
these
lower
songs
than that. I mean,
apart, dude.
the guy that played on my record, Jaden Lehman, he's 19.
mm,
And there's all those guys
It's
are
so
into
great.
it, man. Yeah, it's
Good.
It's
Good. I
already
hope
done.
12-year-olds
The
are playing it,
shit's-
man.
Yeah, man. It's
Yeah.
so great.
Yeah.
It's
I mean
amazing.
It's fantastic.
it's like I had mentioned to Sierra, it's like this whole next generation of players, whether it be bluegrass or dead or whatever, then man, these kids coming up who've been doing it since they're 4 years old, it's just amazing.
Badass, dude.
Yeah.
I know.
The Molly Tuttles, the Billy Strings, just on and on and on. It's like
Yeah.
these kids are great.
Those
And
two
you
ki- I
have
mean,
every genre too, because you got
Yeah.
funk bands like Lettuce, and then you got bluegrass bands. You know, I'm trying to bring more of the jazz thing into it because the music really, when you hear it, like with my band, like Tom Guarna.
Oh my God, I've got to talk about him. Okay, I never seen or heard him before, and he
That's my mission.
blew my fucking mind.
how awesome is he?
I was like writing him things on Instagram. I was like, dude, you're fucking killer. I was like, he was so good.
Yeah.
I've been trying to get him into it, you know, and I think some people are cynical and think, "Oh, Teal's going for that money." I'm like, dude, I don't have that gene in my body. Like, if I
Yes.
can't connect with it,
That's
I don't,
so obvious.
I won't last longer than a couple of months, you know. And it was those ballads that got me. And I said, Tom, because I've heard jazz guys dog it out, and I was one of them. When I was a teenager, I was one of them. So I get it. We want to hear Coltrane. We want to hear Sheets of Sound. We want to hear the most chops possible, you know, Art Tatum, McCoy Tyner, you know. But China Doll, man, when those ballads got on me, and I
Yeah.
went, oh, shit. Especially High Time, because I didn't really dig High Time as much.
Oh,
And then when Clementi finally was like, you know, you'd be really good on High Time, I was like, God, everybody keeps saying it. So then I learned it, and then it got stuck in my head for 2 months straight. And
When,
I was like, that's why. So when I got Tom into that,
Yeah.
it just, and then he started texting me, man, Jerry, dude, that, I was like, yep, here we go.
when I was
Get on the bus.
when Sturgill was talking to me about how intricate the songs are, I brought up High Time because I'm like, I've been playing on guitar since I was 18 or whatever. But I'm like, I think High Time, dude, that's like the greatest chord structure ever with like the greatest bridge of all time thrown in. You know, it's so
Yeah.
killer.
And shout out to Derek Trucks, man, really
Yeah.
The
doing a
biggest.
great solo on that. Those are chord changes. They're not, you can't
Yeah.
just get up there and 1 chord, 2 chord jam that shit. You gotta
And
know it.
And speaking of Derek, I got to shout out to Mickey Hart because that thing on
Woo!
that night was just.
Giovanni.
I don't think anyone there had any expectation of what that was going to be, and myself included, especially. I was just like, wow, I haven't felt something like this or seen something like this or heard something like this in ages.
Ooh.
And it was just fucking mind blowing.
That's the real
And
stuff, man.
It was so great. And to just see Derek on the side sitting down the whole time and like, you know, you could pull that thing up on YouTube. You go an hour, 10 minutes in, and it is just like
Yeah.
in
Kicking.
Indian music. And it's just like, you can't even put a word on it. It's just
Yeah.
like so unique and out there. And yeah,
All the
so
stuff
special.
that he does goes back to the beginning of the root of humanity. You know, like it
And
just
all the way forward to like the
Yeah.
future of space
Caveman.
travel.
Caveman to Mars.
That's right.
It really
Which what we are, you know, and
Yeah.
it's man hanging out with Giovanni. It's Mickey wanted me to play bass on that gig. When he called me, he said, "Hey, come sit in." I was like, "Sure." So it was a late night. I figured I'd just bring my bass and come sit in. And then my management started getting all these calls. He wanted me to do these rehearsals, and I was like, oh man, I can't do all that because I've got my band and I've got Dead Ahead, you know. But I definitely wanted to see it, and found out that Isaac, the drummer for TTB, is a great bass player.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yes,
oh, wait a minute. And he's also Mickey's daughter's fiance. So now we're going to hang and do the bass drum switch off thing. But man, hanging with Giovanni Hidalgo and just getting to like sit in his room and smoke a J and hang out for an hour. It was the biggest living history lesson. Just me being a jazz guy and being a drummer originally. He's like, yeah, I got this message, you know, come meet so-and-so, you know, and it's Louis Belson, you know, and it's like, oh, come meet this. Oh, it's Max Roach. I want you to record with me. Like, and he's just flipping out that these guys who are his heroes want to meet him and play with him. And I'm like, those are my heroes, man. Like, you know, all the old jazz drummers. It was just mind blowing. And him like beating out these rhythms on the desk. He lost a bunch of his fingers, you know, and so he's doing it with his knuckles. He's beating one rhythm with one hand, the other one he's like, yeah, Sikiru showed me that. His father showed it to him. It's an ancient African polyrhythm. It's super hard, you know. Like it was just like, again, who needs acid? Like it was. I felt like I was on Mars, man.
Wait till you get to the Sphere.
Oh, yeah.
Because think about it, dude.
The definite who needs acid.
Think about it.
Let's hear about it.
If we're parked at the same place for however many shows, a month and a half,
gonna lift off,
right?
That thing's
2
gonna
months.
Lift off.
Think about the sit-in possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because people are going to fly from all over the world to see that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and we're not far from
Who needs
LA,
to fly?
right? Like,
who needs to fly? You've got Celine Dion. You've got Adele. You've got no
Carrot Top.
I'm just saying, well, you know what? I mean, actually,
Man group.
You kind of have a point. Like, I'm sure if we really think about it, you know, Benson's probably still doing his house gig there, and
Wu-Tang Clan's doing a residency there. I'd love to see Dead and Wu-Tang mashed up.
You know,
I lose my mind. My head
I don't think
that happens.
I don't think that's out of the realm of possible, because you know Bob and Mickey both are so intentional about like it's spreading out. What's that? The girl that's doing the DJing.
LPGOB.
LPG. I should know her name because we share a manager. Well, she's a great lady.
Yeah. And a massive shout out to her and to Brittany and to Jen.
Brittany Spencer, yeah.
Yeah. And Natalie and
Zoidus.
Susan. The women at the festival, man.
Oh, yeah.
And Margot.
Crushed it, dude. Honestly. Shout out to the
ladies.
Brittany had such a good time up there singing with Bob.
Dude,
she goes, "This is so fun,
bro."
She did that, dude.
That looks like rain.
She made it rain. I told her.
I want
you made
that.
It rain.
I want that. Looks like rain played at my funeral. I have heard Bob sing with a lot of different people, man. What happened that night between him and her on "Looks Like Rain" was something. I almost had to put my friggin' bass down, man. I'm not kidding. I was like, what is happening right now?
Yeah, that was intense.
It was crazy and awesome.
Speaking of intense,
and Rob, I just want to say her brand new record just came out last week, so everybody should go look that up.
So go check her out. She's amazing. Now, intense, I'm imagining, is the first word you would pick when you talk about the Sphere. You're the only. I haven't been there yet. Oteil hasn't been there yet. Talk to me about walking in there and what was your experience like? I'm so excited.
It's reality altering. That's my word for it. It's like, well, and I'm sure it'll be different. You know, YouTube's got it was very designed for their thing. And that, like when you walked in, it looked like you were inside 3 Mile Island or a nuclear or missile silo or something. Just
does it feel good?
Yeah, well, it was just sort of ominous. It was like, holy shit, you know, it's really big, it's gigantic, and then it just changes. And what's interesting is, the crazy, you know, it's just this different songs. There's like all this psychedelic stuff going on, and you're just like, yeah, this is exactly, I'm like, yeah, I'm here for the visuals. I dig you too, and I've seen them a ton of times and stuff, and they're awesome and stuff, but I'm here for the visuals. And then, three-quarters way in, and I'm like, oh God, I forgot how great they are. You know? But
Yeah.
and it's not constant too. It's not like you're not getting slammed by visuals just blowing your mind constantly. Like there was times where songs where it was just totally black behind them. But also
Nice.
it's like you're seeing this band and you're feeling it and it's so loud and there's no PA. I mean, there is one, but you're not seeing it.
It's underground. Yeah, yeah. Or it's
Oh,
in
no,
the
I think it's
walls.
these panels that are
It's
part of the whole
behind us.
thing.
Yeah, because
Panels. Yeah.
It's
Derek was
just
telling me that
it's mind
Featherstone,
blowing.
that the sound man, he was like, yeah, I'm gonna try to get everybody to go on inner ears because it's actually gonna be like the wall of sound. It's gonna be behind us,
Yeah.
which will just crush
It's the
us if you
sphere of
don't
sound.
have inner
It's
ears.
it's
Yeah,
it's yeah.
you could
And
go deaf.
I was speaking with someone recently and I do you think it's gonna work for the dead? And I'm like, of
What?
course, I was like, of
It's
course it's gonna
built for
work.
us.
Well, it's funny because I mean, U2 has it where I think they worked on it where certain songs do certain things, you know. But I'm like, the Dead with all their iconography and
Oh my
imagery and everything,
God.
and just
Dude.
throw some psychedelic lights. It doesn't matter what they're doing; it's gonna be amazing, you
Yeah,
know.
the whoever's doing that is supposed to improv with
Yeah,
us. You
yeah,
know,
Yeah.
yeah,
like
yeah.
come
It's
on.
gonna be. I
I,
mean, yeah.
I,
The possibilities are like crazy.
I read an interview with one of the architects of the whole thing, and they said that you're supposed to get a little bit seasick in there because
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
we're
like
giving you like
IMAX.
your
so
eyes, your ears, and your stomach
Yeah.
are all experiencing something different at the same time.
there was one time there was one song I'm like,
Yeah.
are they going up or are we going down? Because this place is
Yeah.
moving. And then
Really?
and then there's another point where they turn the whole place like serious sky blue and
You
like by the
you
end
feel
the
like
middle
you're
of the song
floating.
I look behind me and see the stands and look like it's and just this giant blue behind it and it really I felt like I was at a stadium outside. I really thought I was outside. And then they've got this desert scene and you really feel like you're in the desert. And then there's this
Oh.
one scene where they've got the strip behind them and you just feel like you're outside. It's just crazy. It
Can we do
really
some
definitely
throw throw
alters your
some
reality.
Hubble telescope in there or what's it
Yeah,
called? What's the new one called? The damn. The new
not sure.
telescope that's going way, way out there. Yeah, I'm ready,
Yeah.
dude. Let's do
Um,
some space, some interstellar travel.
I mean,
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
gonna be yeah.
I don't know who does the Dead and Company lighting trip these days, but I don't know. Get them, bring back Candace. I don't get everybody in there.
Put the
I
old
love
Courtney tie
Jonathan
dyes
Singer,
back
man.
there.
Yeah.
I don't know necessarily. I think about that with Fish, where it's like, is Kuroda going to be able to do I mean, I think they must have. You have to learn a new. It's not a light show.
Well,
It's a panel display event. Like
I heard a rumor that they might be hanging some lights too. I don't know if that's true or whatever, but don't
they
quote me
might
on
be
it.
hanging lights. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
I mean,
to go with it, I don't know.
To
We'll
do
find
I
out.
some.
mean,
That's cool.
the possibilities are endless. But I'm glad you had a good time, and I'm glad it's
Ah,
reality
I mean,
altering.
I kind of want to go again to see Larry Mullen do it, but I think I'll wait for the Deadco
Yeah,
All
that's
if
going to
right.
if
be the
if
ultimate.
that's what it's called.
At that
Yes,
time,
but
yeah,
it is going to be Dead Cove with John.
Cool.
Yeah, it's
amazing.
going to be fun, man. I'm really looking forward to
Uh,
it. I've been trying to get these guys to stop doing one-nighters for like 5 years. I was preaching it to the Allman Brothers when the Allman Brothers were. I was like, "Hey, you know, Santana just did his whole summer in one place and didn't travel, right?" Like,
well,
and
I guess the Beacon was probably closest to that, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, "Let's do that again in the summer."
Yeah, in the
But you
summer
know,
especially, yeah.
just so set, and I think they finally got old enough, and also the venue, like it all just came together. Like, hey, here's a great reason to sit. Another great reason to sit besides just not doing
Yeah.
one night. So
Yeah.
I'm really thankful because it makes it so much easier for my kids to be out and easier on
Mm,
me. It's like I don't care if you fly private, man. This shit is not natural. I'm exhausted
I'll
when I
bet.
get back. Like I
Well,
feel 2 years older, man. It's
How much
not
telling
weight
you.
did
natural.
how much weight did you lose wearing that cape?
Oh God, Yeah, about 10 pounds in that one night. I called the lady because I'm having 11 more made.
Oh,
Molly Coots, shout out to her. And I said, we need some like outdoor summer festival wizard wear because this shit is so hot.
Well,
She
you're
just
down in
died
Florida.
laughing.
You should get that those like long sleeve, moisture wicking.
yeah, it should just
Boat
be that,
wear,
like, yeah,
salt life
the
shit.
Oh, that's
the
right.
breathable mesh cape.
Breathable
Yeah.
Make
mesh,
them out
bro.
of rash guards. And they
Yeah.
do have, you can get crazy psychedelic rash
Oh
guards.
God, yeah,
You're
dude. It'd
right,
probably
dude.
that'd be light and comfortable, and you can get any colors you want.
See, at the Sphere, I'm going to be just like, it's going to be awesome.
You're gonna be out of your mind.
Rob, it's so
Murdered.
cool
I
that
can't
you
wait.
spent an hour with us, man. Thank you so
Thank you, man.
much.
Great,
Tell-
love you guys.
Can you tell all of our listeners what's going on in your world and where they can find you and all the stuff you're working on, the new Riders album and everything else?
Sure. I'm on Sirius XM every day on the Grateful Dead channel, also on the Pearl Jam channel, who sort of became my next Grateful Dead in 1993, sort of by accident. But
Great choice.
I've also now surpassed my number of concerts, seeing more Pearl Jam than more Grateful Dead,
Nice.
which was Mike McCready told me, he's like, you're gonna do it, you're gonna do it. I'm like, yeah, you guys keep playing, I will eventually do it. And it finally happened.
And there are a
my
lot
inst-
of international shows too, so you're probably racking up
yeah,
the
I mean,
miles.
I've had some amazing times. Been to South America a few times, bunch of Euro tours, and
They put on a show.
they put on a show. And yeah, the global audience. I mean, I did get to see the Dead in Europe in 1990, and that was a ton of fun. Probably a lot of American Deadheads on that, a lot of fun. But yeah, the international thing with Pearl Jam is just like, yeah, to meet all these friends, to have friends all over the globe is it's pretty crazy, pretty fun. And my
It's
Instagram is
magic.
at Acid Palace. And yeah, I also do the New Riders of Purple Sage website is nrps.net. You can go right there. It's really ancient. We're working on a new one. But you can click the store, which is not ancient, and that's where you can find this Lyceum 72 3 LP
I gotta
Those
get
guys, how young they
straight out of
were.
the
Yeah.
or straight out of the vault, 16-track master. Thanks again, Jeffrey Norman, for such a great mixing job on it. David Glasser, who does all the Grateful Dead stuff, does our mastering. It's out on Omnivore Recordings. What else?
I can't believe
I'm
Acid
available.
Palace wasn't taken. That's so great. You actually got
Oh,
it.
well, actually, it's my. Well, it's so funny. Wait, I can tell you this. Let's see, is this one of them?
Acid Palace.
It's like, oh, it's still free. I'll take it.
Oh, well, back in the day when CDRs were happening, we'd take all the dead dats and make your own bootleg
Yeah.
CDs on Acid Palace Records,
That's
which was my own label. And
great.
Love it.
Acid
but
Palace
Acid Palace is my tribute to Winterland, which was where I left this whole part of my brain is left at the corner post and Steiner, and so it's my tribute to that. Yeah, I'm glad it wasn't taken. It's so
Yeah.
funny too, because I was briefly on Twitter when it started, and I had that, and I never like really used Twitter, and sort of hated it because I found that to be like the biggest orange clown vehicle in the world. And then I got off it, and I saw that someone grabbed it like the next day.
I love. Yeah, I wouldn't imagine that would last very long.
Acid
Hey man, do
Palace.
you know Paul Diaz from Tree Sound? It's a solar powered recording studio in Atlanta.
No, but I want to.
You're like his twin. When you were at Mexico, I walked by you backstage, and I thought you were him.
Oh man.
And I was like about to come up to you, and then I went, "Oh, it's not Paul." Sorry, I know that's a left turn, but I'm gonna find a picture of him and send it to you because you guys are like brothers.
Another balding Jew from New York.
He's but he's so into music, you know. He's like, he has a solar powered recording studio. It's a great studio.
I love the sound of that.
That sounds so cool.
No, and everybody records there, like Usher and Elton John, and like everybody records
Wow.
there. It's an amazing studio.
Cool.
And You remind me a lot of him, like a whole lot.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you for coming on.
Well, thank you. And we had met briefly last year at your Roots Rock Revival camp where I got invited to do a little dead DJing, which.
That's right. That's right.
Which you are so good at, by the way. Thank you for that Dropbox link you sent.
Oh, it sent you the Dead Dream. I sent you that Dead Dreams, didn't I?
Yeah.
Dude, send me that Emmy Lou, but
I will.
I cannot
I'd be happy to.
wait to hear that.
Yeah. And keep singing. And that's the thing too. When you busted out "If I Had the World to Give," like your cred went through the freaking roof. Like not that it needed to, but your cred went through the roof.
Thank
I was
you.
like,
I
freaking gets it.
I had
Stay here
help.
1 second.
I'm not going to claim all the credit for that because shout out to Matt Bush and shout out to Jeff Commenti, because when I did China Doll and it went over really well, they said, you should do this one. You should do Comes a Time. You should do If I Had the World to Give. I was like, all right, I'm on it.
Okay. Are you familiar with Dick's Picks 10?
Yeah, I met Dick Latvala with the Allman Brothers at the Beacon, actually.
Sweet. Because Dick's Picks 10 is 12/29/77, which is the night my life changed forever and why I'm so obsessed with Winterland and that show. Anyway, that is the greatest China Doll you will ever come across.
Oh, all right. I'm on it. I'm on it. I
Rob,
will get there.
Yes.
I told you I did when I go to San Fran. When I go to San Francisco and do the Punchline or Cobb's.
Oh yeah, I think they
gave me a poster.
Check
it out. Your show.
Yeah.
Dead Dreams, a Grateful Dead dance party, and New Year's at the Fillmore 2017. Rob Bleetstein. I love this poster so much, dude. I still think about getting that hourglass tattoo.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Hanging on my wall, buddy. You've been on my wall for a while. I love this poster so much.
It was a lot of fun. I love doing that shit, man. I love playing the good Jer, and I like being behind a board and being able to like make my own jams too. Let's go.
Yeah.
Well, you're the best, dude.
All right, now you guys are the best. All right, man. Thank you,
sure.
Oteil. Thank you, brother.
Love you. Yeah, dude. We'll be seeing you again soon.
See you in Vegas.